RGBs on his memory whenever he reboots his PC, it comes back up and there's no color. We went back and forth, and we end up discovering, well, his issue, it really can only be motherboard or memory, but he's tried plugging his memory into each individual slot with one stick by itself, and whenever he got to the third slot, it didn't matter what he did, that memory stick wasn't seen at all. So he basically has a bad DIMM slot on his motherboard. We also tried to update the BIOS on the motherboard. That didn't do anything. So with this one here, you know, it appears that he just has a bad DIMM slot and a shorted motherboard. And that's pretty much what I said to him last time we spoke, and we kind of been going back and forth about it. And I said, well, we are talking about color, so I don't think there's much hurry here. Just get some LED strips and call it a day, LOL. But yeah, motherboard short. I don't know, man. If the PSU is off and then on again, the LED RAM is working fine. And because of the motherboard, LED I can't shut down. I always plug the computer off and everything works. Looks more like a software thing to me. I'm just bothered that I have to do fixes for a completely new setup. I can send the motherboard back until the 31st of January, so you think it'll fix it if I buy the same motherboard again? Should be one of the better B550s. Well, if you return it, well, okay. Well, yes to returning it. Yes to returning it. What worries me is you said when going into one of the DIMM slots, it didn't work at all. That seems more like a faulty motherboard to me, but not something that would be spread across all motherboards of that model. So yeah, you can buy the same one, but to end this forever, just buy a comparable model and call it a day. Unless the colors don't match, then go with what you had. LOL. There we go. I still say it's a motherboard, bro. I don't even care what you say at this point because it's only a couple things it can be. You can't really call it the power supply. And I think you already tried to replace the power supply, didn't you? Because I had to turn down the power supply every time, blah, blah, blah. I have switched off my PSU into my motherboard LEDs. Yeah, it's a possibility it could be a short on the power supply, but it doesn't manifest itself like that. If it was a short on the power supply, why would it affect the RAM? The RAM needs the least amount of power of everything as far as the LEDs are concerned. You know, if it was a power issue or a power supply issue, your computer would just straight up cut off. Like, you'd have bigger problems than the LEDs not coming on when you reboot. That would be the least of your problems if it was the actual power supply. That's why I feel like you may just have a short on the motherboard. So it may be something that's actually just getting shorted and the motherboard is actually fine. And once you remove the screws, you may find a screw that's kind of shorting out a pin or a stripe on the motherboard. But yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like. It just sounds like the motherboard itself is being a little bit shorted here. But you know, RMA it, well, just return it and get something similar. Or if you don't want to get something similar because the colors don't match, because it seems like you are a colorist, then go ahead and get the same model. That's what I would say for this one. So yeah, it just kind of depends on the situation here.